So as things get a little more complicated with Canvas HTML, I'll do some of these tutorials. Um, so we've already figured out how to draw a circle, and you see that all this code we've already worked on, and but what if we want to animate it? And we take this, we create a function, we call it animate, we can call it Bob is smelly, Bob is smelly if we wanted to, and but just for, it's always cleaner coding if you name the function what it does. Now this is you naming it. There's already, we also have to create this JavaScript function. It's something that's already in JavaScript, and it's a method inside JavaScript, and it is called, let's see if I can request and see how it pops up. That means that it is part of JavaScript, just like stroke style is. And so this is not a made up name. It is an actual real kind of function. So what we're doing is kind of doing a function inside of a function. You remember that a little parentheses usually always go after a function, named function. Well, sometimes there are things inside these, and what we're doing is, what we're saying is, we're almost like kind of creating a loop, and putting that in this, so it kind of like loops. So in order to get this moving, we have to actually call this function, and we basically do that by writing it down below. So this is happening, but it's looping inside of itself. So let's see that nothing much is happening though. The only thing I believe that is happening is that it is indeed cycling, not on the web, but in its own. Let's see, log. Try this. I am looping. I don't know if this will work, but I feel like it should work. Alright, so there's that, there's that. Let's see. Open default. I am looping. Should be able to see something. Nope. 46.9. X is not defined. Oops. One little mistake is that this X needs to be defined, because we're not creating a variable out of that yet. And let's see if this works. The circle's there. It's not moving yet, and we'll get it to move. We still have a few things to do, but I wanted to show you this is it is looping. It's just not showing it yet because we haven't done that part of the code. But you see these numbers go up, so infinitely will loop. So it's looping upon itself. The function's looping upon itself. Let's get it out of that endless loop by doing a few things. Like, first of all, we want to bring data in. There's no data in, and it's not going to spit out because it's sitting up here, and we want to animate the circle, this purple circle. So how do we animate this purple circle? There's a few things that we have to do, and we have to have this X here, and this is the XY axis. We have to have this as a variable because we're just going to animate the X-axis, and just step it over one pixel at a time. How do you do that? Well, let's locate it. We let X equals 100. And then I think inside, is it outside? Inside. We'll try it inside. And then we go X plus equal 1. And all this is, it starts at 200, and then 201, 202, 203, 204. It adds 1 to it. So I don't know. It's my dog snoring. All right. I don't know if it works. So, ooh, it's cool. But what's happening here, this is a cool effect. If you want this effect, go for it. But I believe it's just going to go off the page, and it's just circling on top of each other. You need to be able to, yeah, there it goes, clear it every single time. Essentially, the page is refreshing, and it's moving 1 pixel at a time, but it drags like that because it's going on top of each other. So there's a few more steps to go. And I think we've used this before, and it's the clear rect. That's link clear. Hold on. Is that clear? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go ctx dot clear. So kind of clear the canvas before the next one is shown. And you start from to 0, and we go completely inside the inner width as well as the inner height. So every time this does it at lightning speed, it clears and allows the next full circle to happen. This allows a full circle to be created. And I think that's it. Let's make it neat. I don't know if that'll do the trick. I think it will, if I can remember. Yes. So there it goes on its merry way. It's moving a little slow. You can actually make it go faster, but we're not going to do that right now. And but it kind of just goes aside, but you kind of want to make something that it bounces back so it doesn't just disappear. And let's work on that. So there's a few things. We don't want that blur, and we want it to also bounce back. So let's first fix the blur. And this ctx dot clear rect means that it's going to clear the entire screen before the next animation happens. The next before it refreshes, and again, it happens in a flash. So that makes sure that the inner width and the inner height is cleared. So there's not that blur going on. Okay, and then let's make sure it works. Clear rect. And I want to clean that. I'll start it there. Okay. And see if it goes across on its own, and it does. Now it's going to keep going, and it's going to go off the screen. So how you change that is that you have to, this is velocity. 1 is velocity. So you have to play around with the velocity. So this means that this goes 1 pixel to the right, but we need to create a variable that says it goes all the way to the right, and then when it reaches right to the edge of the screen, then it goes negative. It goes back, and then that becomes a loop. So we'll see how you do that. So first of all, we need to add another variable to let dx equals 1, and then let's see, what do you do next? You go x plus minus equals dx. I believe. And then, so you have that as the velocity, and I'll show you real quick what I mean by changing velocity. You can speed it up by, say, times 4. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it speeds it up. We don't quite have it so it bounces back, so we have to figure out how to do that. Let me see. How do you do that? It will be an if then. So if x, I think you go, x is less than what? If it's less, if it's greater than the inner width, and if it just, that means if it gets right to the edge there, then you don't see the then, pretend that there is a then dx equals, it starts bouncing back, so that means it starts becoming, it's minus, so, that's wrong, yes, okay, and you still leave that there, alright. We have a function within a function. That's why there's so many brackets. If x is greater than inner width, if it hits the edge, then it becomes negative. Let's try that. Open in default. Oh, we got it going fast again. Yep, there it is. So now it's... Now it bounced and it went off on the opposite direction, but we've figured out how to bounce it at least in one direction. All right. So it's kind of interesting. You saw it bounce, but you saw it kind of like not bounce off the edge of the circle. You saw it kind of like, here, I'll show you again what I'm talking about. You'll see that it bounces halfway. So there's a way of fixing that, and that says if the radius of the circle hits the edge, then go back. And all you do with that is that you include radius in here. And the radius for now is 30, but we want to change that. Is that right? Yeah. We want to create a variable so we can reference it, and then we can still have it 30 equals 30, but we need it to do something else. We need it to be, hold on, x. We need it to do the same thing that the x-axis does. So they're combined together, and then they can do all this together. So it's not just x is less than inner width, then bounce back. It's x plus radius, that is the radius of the circle. So then bounce back, and that should do the trick. Let me just see. I'm glad I did. Yep, it's right on the okay. So, but it still goes off the screen. So now we have to do another kind of operator, and it's called an OR operator. And OR operators, you can tell it's an OR operator because it has these two lines. And you go x I'll wait till that phone ends. Okay, great. Okay, you know it's an OR operator because you got these two lines in there. And we need to figure out how to make it bounce back or have a loop so it goes back and forth. So yeah, in order to make it bounce again, you have to do the OR, and you have to do the opposite of what's happening over here. And you have x plus x minus radius, like x plus radius, and then you have the less, and if it's less than 0, as in that's the xy coordinate, then it goes back, you know, and then it goes back essentially and goes back of the opposite direction. So let's see. That will hopefully cause it to loop. Let's see if it works. Notice that it now hits the edge. Yep. And this is an infinite loop, essentially. This will loop for a long time. I mean, for infinitely. And that's how you loop and animate a circle. I think in the next, I'll talk a little bit how to animate the Y, or maybe you should just try it on your own, because it's not only doing an X, but it'd be great if we animated the Y-axis so it went up and down as well, kind of like a bouncing ball. All right.